Hello, welcome to our live session for Green River College. My name is Kerry Kwon, and I am an advisor at Green River. So today's session is more on engineering or computer engineering majors. At Green River, the international programs, we divide up all the advisors by major. So since students who are interested in engineering or math or computer science, they would be assigned to me. Um, and that's great because that allows me to specialize with engineering students. Um, so today I'm gonna go over some questions that a lot of students have um, regarding engineering. Um, and I'll talk briefly about what does a community college do. For starters, I myself was a former community college student. I grew up in California, so I went to a community college in California. Oops, sorry. And I transferred after studying at a community college to a four-year university called UC Irvine. And after I graduated from UC Irvine, I worked in the field for about 4 to 5 years before going to my master's degree at University of Washington, Seattle. And so I am a former student of community college, and I understand what it takes to transfer from a community college. Um, Green River College is known for transferring students all over the world, including, right? Sorry about that. Green River College is known for, yeah, transferring students both in and out of the state of Washington. And my job is to make sure that you are successful in transferring out to the university of your choice. Um, so our school actually has bachelor's programs, um, but not in engineering. So all my engineering students are coming to Green River to transfer out. So I'll get started with the questions. So the first question was, what classes should I start off with? That's a very, very good question because you're coming to a foreign country, the U.S., and you want to get started on your major right away. Um, but all majors at Green River College require English. So because all lectures are taught in English, even math is taught in English. So the most recommended class for any major at Green River is to take English first. This is especially true for engineering majors because you have to take a lot of science classes, and science classes like physics and chemistry require English and math. So if you do not have the right English or math levels, you cannot take the science classes that you need to transfer to the university. So the goal is always to get to English 101 first. English 101 is college level freshman English. Um, and secondly, you want to get your math as high as possible. So if you do not like math, engineering might not be the path for you um, because math is such a core component of your major. You want to start as soon as possible and get to calculus as soon as possible. Um, Now, most majors, they will probably stop at the calculus level. Um, but mechanical engineering or electrical engineering, civil engineering, any of those engineering majors, you have, I would say, 6, 7 quarters worth of math that you have to take. So even beyond calculus, you'll be taking differential equations, you'll be taking linear algebra, multivariable calculus. Um, the, the classes just keep adding on, the math classes. So the sooner you start the math, the better. And finally, you want to start on your physics as soon as possible, um, because you're not just taking a college level physics class. You have to take an engineering level physics sequence, um, a full year sequence to transfer to the university of your choice. So the sooner you start your physics, the better. The other class that you should consider is chemistry. Um, so chemistry is a core component for mechanical engineers, industrial engineer, aeronautical engineer, um, civil engineer. So just like physics, you want to get started on the chemistry as well, because chemistry is also a sequence. So there's a three-part sequence to chemistry that you have to take at Green River to transfer to the university. Now, question number two, what university should I think about transferring to? So that's a very good question as well. There are a lot of universities in the US. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why people come to study here. And there's a lot of good universities in the US, top 50 universities in the US, right? Um, a lot of our students do transfer to University of Washington or Washington State University, but you can go beyond Washington, right? Our probably the number one transfer school is in the UCs, right? So UC has a lot of good schools like Berkeley, LA, Davis, San Diego, Irvine, um, Santa Barbara, Santa Cruz. So UC is another option that a lot of students look at. And for engineering or computer science, um, the Midwest is another good option. So University of Illinois, University of Wisconsin, University of Minnesota, those are top engineering or STEM schools. And of course, there's in the South as well, University of Texas is always a top 10 school. And Georgia Tech is also a top 10. So there are many options out there. And you'll see that later on I'll link you to the Green River testimonial page. Like Green River college students transfer to all over the US. So don't feel like you're limited to just one place. um, Now, just because the schools are good at your major, that shouldn't be the only thing that you should consider, right? So um, another thing that you should consider is this the type of environment that I really want to study for the next few years? Okay. Um, so, if you go to the Midwest, you're going to have freezing temperatures and sweltering summers. Um, if you go to California, weather is good, I would say 9 months out of the year, and then the summers are pretty bad. Same thing with Arizona. Um, so the U.S. because U.S. is so big and all the university and every state has a university, you have to take those climate into factor, right? Um, for example, we had a student from Indonesia that transferred to Purdue. Purdue's a very good university, but during the winters there was 6, 7 feet of snow, and that's not something that she was used to. And so these are things that you need to consider. Another thing that I really think STEM majors should consider is where do you really want to work, right? Where are the jobs in the U.S. for your major? Um, so a lot of computer science students they like to stay in the West Coast because Silicon Valley is in California. Seattle is a big tech hub. So Amazon is here, Microsoft is here. Um, and so because the job is near the schools that they want to go to, they are able to find internships while they are in school in those places. So if you go to UC schools, you're able to tap into those connections and find internships close by. um, and same thing with UW. That's one of the reasons why UW is so popular is it's a school that's in Seattle, and so you're able to find those job opportunities and internships while you are studying there. Let's see. Question number three. What are the different areas of engineering that I can study? That's also a very good question. So engineering, the term engineering is a very broad term. But engineering has many different fields. So aerospace, aeronautical engineering, right? There's mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, civil engineering, industrial engineering, computer engineering. So a lot of students don't really know what they want to do, and that's what I'm here for, right? You want to talk to your advisor about that. A lot of people are like, I want to build airplanes, so I have to be an aeronautical engineer. That's not necessarily true. Um, Aeronautical engineers do work on planes, but so do mechanical engineers, so do electrical engineers, computer engineers. They all work uh, to build a plane. It's just the special you're specializing in different parts of the plane, right? So if you're an aeronautical engineer, you might be specializing in more of the aerodynamics of the plane, propulsions. If you are a mechanical engineer, you're probably helping designing um, how to make how to make solid bodies that can handle the stress of being at a high altitude. Electrical engineers need to make sure that all the circuits and all the wires are connected and properly sending communication through those wires. Computer engineers, you need computer engineers to program um, the right application for that plane, right? One of the issues with Boeing is that they didn't provide a good enough program for their plane. So, you know, there's a lot of things to think about. I do want to say this though. So mechanical engineering is probably the number one major for engineering at Green River. Um, and that's because mechanical engineering is considered to be like the broadest of engineering discipline. It overlaps with many other engineering disciplines like civil and chemical engineering and stuff like that. And but that also means that mechanical engineering is a very difficult major. So when I talk to students at University of Washington, they tell me like mechanical engineering is very, very difficult compared to other engineering majors. Um, so you really have to know what you're doing. Um, and it's the most difficult, but it's also the most applicable, right? You'll be mechanical engineering jobs are available in almost every field. Um, because you are, every kind of product requires some kind of mechanical body, right? And it's not just strictly mechanical, right? It could be like fluid mechanics or thermodynamics. And so, yeah, I mean, mechanical, if you're not 100% sure which engineering to go, that is a good major to go. Um, and like I said, the job prospects for mechanical engineering is pretty good. So that's something to consider. Um, Now, civil engineering is if you want to work on like infrastructure or buildings. It's a lot. I get a lot of architect students asking like, what's the difference between architecture and civil engineering? So architecture majors are basically you have to have some kind of art background because you have to take a lot of design courses. When you apply to an architect major, they actually not only do you need all the classes to transfer to an architect school, but they also ask you to submit like a art portfolio that you've done um, as part of your application. Um, but civil engineers are different. Civil engineers are you're engineer, so you're basically analyzing all the different materials that will be used to support the engineering projects, like building foundations, dams, tunnels, right? um, I don't know if you know this, but Seattle is, they spent a lot of years and money to build tunnels under Seattle because of traffic. They're trying to find ways to and create ways of transportation under the city. I know a lot of countries in Asia already do this, and Europe as well. You need civil engineers, right? You need to make sure that um, you create tunnels that can withstand the weight and the stress. You need to make sure you use the right kind of material uh, to create these projects. And yeah, and these are what civil engineers work on. Electrical engineers, it's pretty given that you're going to be working with the electrical system, the electrical grid. Um, you'll be working to make sure that transmission of information is good via wires, cables, fiber optics, um, and they I'll give you another example of how electrical engineering is applied. I had a student that really wanted to go into robotics. So you'll find that there's not many schools that have robotics engineering. That's because many different disciplines work on robotics, including electrical engineers, because they have to create the electrical system, the circuit system, to make those robotics work, right? Um, so you need computer engineers, you need electrical engineers, you need mechanical engineers to work on robotics. Uh, last thing, uh, last thing I do want to talk about is computer science and computer engineering. So computer science and computer engineering are a really popular major right now. And the reason why is because everything is becoming more and more digital, right? And requires more and more programming. And programming is like a skill, right? Like you learn it. It's like learning a language, right? So once you have that degree, computer science or computer engineering degree, now you are eligible for jobs that require, that specific degree. So you'll find jobs, right, on in the U.S. job postings that'll specifically ask for computer science or computer engineering majors or mechanical engineering major or electrical engineering major. And that's one of the advantage of being a STEM engineering student is that the job prospects are much better than someone who with the general major. For example, a student that would major in sociology or psychology, they have to apply that somehow to the job. But engineering majors, the job specifically asks for that major, right? For that student. So that's something to consider. Let's see. Let's go to the next question. Oh, another thing that I guess I should mention is industrial engineering. Industrial engineering is not as big in other countries, but in the US, industrial engineering is a big component of engineering. What industrial engineers do is they kind of look at the systems that are in place and they find ways to make improvements to that system. So it's kind of like business analysts. Business analysts look at all this data and they analyze and they come up with this solution. Well, an industrial engineer will look at that data and see where they can make improvements, right? So I guess like if you were an industrial engineer, you'd be looking at a lot of just spreadsheets, right? A lot of so it's not like a hands-on job as like the other engineering majors, but it is such a big component because it is directly tied to any kind of manufacturing or any company that uses complex integration system. Um, so they'll do something like, they'll be responsible for quality control, standardization, um, scheduling and production. It's kind of like an advanced businessman, um, is what industrial engineering is. And when you go to school for industrial engineering major, instead of specializing in a specific engineering field, they make you take classes of all the different types of engineering, but not to the extended level of specific majors. So you'll take the same courses as a freshman mechanical engineering student and an electrical engineering student and you know aeronautical engineering student, but not so far into mechanical engineering that it'll be difficult for you. So if you're not really sure, that's another good path to take. Now, next question. What is the job outlook like? So this is very good. This is one of the main reasons why students go into STEM, because STEM is not an easy major. It's definitely easier to be a liberal arts major or social science major, because there is less requirements for those majors, right? So why do students take this rigorous math and science and English to become an engineer? Job prospects, right? Um, the U.S. immigration, for example, supports STEM majors more than other majors. So, as an international student, after students complete their degree, uh, the U.S. immigration allows students to do optional practical training for 1 year. Well, for STEM majors, there's a 2 year extension on top of that 1 year. So you can do 3 years of optional practical training. And that's just exclusive to STEM majors. Um, and and the job prospects are, there's there's a lot more opportunities for engineering majors than non-engineering majors. Um, you can actually, after you graduate from the university, you can actually find a job recruiter that specifically works with engineering majors. And those job recruiters will help you interview for jobs all over the US, to find the right employer for you. Now, they have that for non-STEM majors as well, but it's definitely more difficult because you'll have way more competition. And the starting salary for engineering majors is always much higher. So usually, starting salary for non-STEM majors is probably in the $40,000 range. Um, and the starting salary for engineering majors are close to 60,000 plus. So there is a great advantage of being an engineer. Like I said, even the U.S. immigration, right? They do give extra opportunities for STEM majors because engineering majors are what we call skilled labor, and every country in the world, right, always wants to have more skilled labor. Okay. Um, in terms of immigration, why should they give immigration opportunities for jobs when most Americans can do those jobs, right? So it's specifically for STEM majors. Most Americans can't do that job, right? So that's why they offer additional opportunities for STEM majors. So that's something that to consider, right? It's more work, it's harder. Um, it's it's not only harder to do the coursework, but it's also harder to transfer because it's more competitive, right? Um, you're not the only one thinking, okay, engineering major has more opportunities. Everyone knows that, right? And so when you plan to transfer to universities as an engineering major, it gets competitive, right? But the benefits, definitely are there at the end of the tunnel. So, my advice for engineering students is keep an eye at the end of the tunnel. No matter how hard it is, understand that, you know, as an engineering student, you'll definitely have better results, right? and better opportunities. And so try your best and transfer to the university of your choice and get the that you want. Now, the last question, give examples of students that majored in engineering or where they have transferred to and what are they doing now. So that's a very good question as well. So Green River College has a testimonial page. I could probably show you how that works. Let's see. So you can go to the Green River College page and go to international and testimonials. And these aren't all our students, but you can see where our students transfer to. Um, and what major they were, right? So here's an electrical engineering major transferred to University of Washington. Um, like I said before, Green River College students transfer to all over the U.S. and Canada is a very popular destination as well. Um, Both University of British Columbia and University of Toronto are known for STEM, so that's a good option if you want to go to Canada. Um, University of California is another popular choice that students go to. This student was a mechanical engineering major. Um, and these testimonials we have all the way back to 2011. So if you want to look at where our students transfer to, this is a very good link to see. So it's basically the Green River page, international testimonials. We also have an alumni page, um, and we try to keep track of our alumni, all the students who transferred out of Green River College, and that's a good way to see where they are right now. Let me stop sharing for now. Let's see. And a lot of our students are still in the US. So they're usually working in the field. So they're either in OPT status or they've transitioned to H-1B visa, a sponsored visa, work visa through the company. And then also a lot of students have returned to their home country and pursued engineering majors there, engineering fields there. So you'll see a lot of variety. I think the key issue is making sure that once you come to Green River or any community college, that you complete all the core requirements to transfer um, to the university of your choice. Um, and then once you get to that university, you have to start interning, you have to start building connections, building experience, taking core engineering classes, um, to set you up for the next thing, which is jobs, right? Um, this is why finding the right university is very important because um, big universities like University of Texas, University of California, University of Illinois, University of Washington, these big universities attract a lot of employers. And so these employers will visit those schools during the job fairs. And as international students, you might not have the same type of opportunity as domestic students, but there are international student recruiters uh, at those job fairs, specifically talking to international students. So, um, make sure that you have a goal in mind. Okay, think about 4 to 5 schools that you want to transfer to. And then if you do come to Green River, you'll want to talk with an advisor and make an education plan so that you can set yourself up to transfer to those schools. Okay. Um, Transferring is never guaranteed. Okay. Just because you have a 3.8 GPA or even a 4.0 GPA doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to get into UC Berkeley or Stanford. Okay, um, that's why it's good to have 4 to 5 schools in mind. Think about many different things, right? Not just the ranking of the school. Ranking of the school is very important, but like I said, think about the geographical location, right? Um, where do I want job opportunities? Do I want to work in New York? Go to New York. Do I want to work in LA? Go to LA, right? Um, or if I want to work in Seattle, yeah, go to University of Washington or Washington State University, right? So, and then of course price, right? Look into price. Is it worth paying extra $20,000 to go to a school that's ranked 3 ranks higher? Maybe, maybe not, right? It's up to you. Because every school is different and tuition is different for every school. Um, and the type of opportunities that they present to you is different, right? So small schools have advantage of smaller classroom sizes, better professor to student integration. But bigger schools, you know, even though you're gonna have 200-300 people in your lecture halls, um, they also draw bigger companies, right? Because there's just more students there. And so it really depends on what you want. Everyone is different, right? I prefer smaller schools, even though I went to two big public schools. Um, but yeah, I mean, it depends on everyone's different, and so you have to find, and you'll have the time to find the right school for you. It usually takes about 2 years to transfer. If your English and math are um, at a lower than American college students, then it might take a little bit longer just to catch up, right? Um, but the goal at Green River isn't to stay at Green River. The goal is at Green River is to um, make sure that you complete all the requirements to transfer out. Yeah. So before, and that's all the questions that I had to answer today. Um, I guess I could do a little bit of uh, questions and answers. If anyone has questions, feel free to uh, type it in the comment section. Um, if there's no more questions, you can always email me. Even if you're not a Green River College student, if you have questions about studying in the U.S. or um, the specific major like mechanical engineering or electrical engineering or computer engineering, feel free to email me. I'll show you how to access that part of Green River. So this is the Green River website, greenriver.edu, and you can go to international and then live on campus, oops, to international advising, and you can see all the advisors at Green River here, and you can go to learn more about your advisors, um, or schedule an appointment with your advisor, and you can see all the different advisors at Green River and what majors that they specialize in. So here's me, aviation, computer science, engineering, um, and my email is listed right here. Okay. And like I said, you do not have to be a Green River College student to ask me questions. Uh, I get emails from non-Green River College students to former Green River College students. Um, they all email me, and it's fine, right? So with that in mind, I think I'm going to wrap it up. I do have another session later on today, in about 11 hours for aviation, if you're interested in aviation. If not, uh, I'm gonna wrap it up today. Thank you for joining me, and good luck.